Hey guys, welcome to Riot Reviews. My name is Greg and today we're going to do a comparison of the Samsung T7 external SSD, this one here, and this one here, which I got from Amazon that you probably wouldn't be able to find at your local electronics store. And although this one requires some assembly and is a lot bigger than the Samsung and doesn't look quite as nice, I'm going to make the case that this one is far superior and that you should actually buy this one. Alright, so you might be asking yourself, why these two products? Well, it's simple. I own both of these and I've been using them for over a year. Of course, there are other products you could buy that might be cheaper than the Samsung T7 SSD, but those cheaper SSDs may cost you in performance. So first of all, we need to discuss the target audience of this video. This video is really for people who are new to external SSDs and are not really sure what product to buy. And it's also for people who may already know a little bit about SSDs, but they're interested in buying something that's fast, with large storage, and on a budget. So what are we going to talk about today? Okay, so first we're going to discuss why this even matters and how buying the right product for your needs might save you a lot of money. Then we'll compare the price as well as the parts, and we'll cover some basic technical details. All the important stuff that you want to know, and I'll quickly explain everything in simple terms. Then we'll discuss whether it's compatible with your computer and how to connect it. I'll show you how to assemble it, and then I'll copy and paste a large file so you can see the data transfer speed. And finally, the timestamps are all below for your convenience. So why does this even matter, and are these products right for you? This SSD has twice the storage capacity and is about 5 times faster than this one, and it's also actually cheaper. So if you're finding yourself trying to make space on your laptop or computer all the time, and you're not able to upgrade the internal storage, maybe you have a Mac Studio or something like that, and you don't mind having one of your computer ports occupied by this, then something like this might be the right product for you. Now let's look at the price and some technicals. The 2TB Samsung T7 is currently $269 on Amazon and has a maximum read and write speed of about 1000 megabytes per second. You'll usually see it written like this on the screen. The M and the B will always be capitalized. If it isn't, it means it's either a typo or they're talking about megabits per second, which is something we don't need to get into right now. So the read speed is essentially how quickly the SSD can open or read a file, and the write speed is how quickly the SSD can save or write a file. MBPS or MB/S can easily be converted to gigabytes for anyone who finds that easier to conceptualize. So for people who are frequently transferring large files, videos and things like that, that might be easier for them to wrap their head around. To convert megabytes to gigabytes, we divide it by 10. The Samsung SSD has a maximum read and write speed of approximately 1000 megabytes per second or 1 gigabyte per second. The Amazon one is $239 in total, so that's for all the parts, so that's $30 cheaper than the Samsung T7. It has 4 terabytes of storage, so double the size, and a maximum read and write speed of about 5000 megabytes per second or 5 gigabytes per second. So it's about 5 times as fast as the Samsung. This unit here is comprised of 2 parts, the internal SSD, which is the crucial P3 Plus, and the Ugreen enclosure or housing for the SSD. Full model names as well as the links are in the description below. Okay, compatibility. Both SSDs are compatible with Windows, Mac, and Linux. If you have a Mac, and I assume this will be the same for Windows as well, you just plug it in and your computer will figure out the rest and you're good to go. The other thing to keep in mind is that the SSD chip and the SSD enclosure have to be compatible with each other. And while there are many technical details that you could potentially consider, today we'll just go over the essentials, which will be more than sufficient for the average user. So there are 4 main things we need to check. First, and most importantly, we need to match up the physical size of the SSD and the SSD enclosure. so that the SSD chip will fit into the enclosure. So as we can see here, they are both 2280, so we're all good there. Okay, next we need to make sure that both interfaces are the same. So these both use NVMe, so we're all good there. Okay, number 3, we need to make sure that the read and write speed of the enclosure is at least the same read and write speed as the SSD chip. So our enclosure is 10,000 megabytes per second, and the SSD chip is 5,000 megabytes per second. So we're all good there as well. And then finally, we need to make sure the storage size of the SSD enclosure is at least the same size as the storage size of the SSD chip. This enclosure can support an 8 terabyte SSD chip, and our SSD chip is 4 terabytes, so we are all good there too. The SSD chip and the SSD enclosure pass with flying colors, so we're all good to go. Now let's look at how to assemble this one here. So don't worry, you don't need any tools and it's pretty easy. Now I'm going to go into as much detail as possible because if this is new for you and you haven't looked at the internals of hardware, it may be intimidating, and sometimes instructional videos and booklets can be quite vague. So we'll break it down as much as possible. If you're like, yep, got it, too easy, you can skip ahead, but if you'd like it broken down into incremental steps, here we go. Step 1, open the case, so just hold it and push this end out here, so it'll be the end without the port on it, so that's the end with the port. Don't push that end, push this end, and it will just pop out like so. So there we go, the end's popped out. Okay, now what we want to do is completely move the tray, so the part that popped out, away from the enclosure. Okay, so now that we have the tray from the body, we want to put that down. Okay, at this stage you want to have all your bits and bobs in front of you. So we have the tray, the body, the heat absorbing rubber, we have our SSD chip, and we have a little pin here, a little plastic securing pin. And now we're ready to put it all together. So what we want to do is connect the SSD into the SSD enclosure body or the tray. To do that, we're going to grab our SSD chip and we are going to put this end into this end of our SSD enclosure, or our SSD body, I should say, the tray. Okay, so to do that, we are going to stick this end with the pins into the tray like so, so into the slot there, and you can put it on an angle like how I have it, and just push it in, and it will kind of, it won't really click, but you'll feel that it's pushed in. And then when you can't see the pins anymore, that means it's in. So if I pull it back out again, you can see that the pins are still, you can see the pins are out there. Try and get a better angle, like, yeah, like that. So that's out. If I push it in like that, you can't see the pins anymore. So that means it's in. Okay, now that we've done that, you can see it's elevated, so we want to push the chip down and we want it to be aligned with that hole in the body. So once it's aligned and you're satisfied with that, we take that small black pin that we were talking about before, right there, and we're going to push the pin into the hole of the body. So I find it easier to hold the enclosure this way, so that the end that says push is facing towards you and the hole where we want to put our pin is facing towards us. Okay, and then we want to grab the pin and push it down. Like so. And that pin is now in. Okay, and if you look in here, you'll notice that the pin that we just put in it's kind of like a little tab sticking out. So that's just so that you can easily remove the pin. It's not meant to secure anything. So to remove it, you just simply pull on that tab and the pin will come back out. But since we want it to stay in there, of course, we'll just put it back in like so. Okay, now the next step is our heat absorbing rubber. So SSDs can get quite hot, hence our bit of rubber. It came with a piece of plastic over the top, so just peel that off. Mine's already removed because I've been using it. And just put it on top of your chip, like so, just like that. And now you can put the enclosure case back on. So it only goes in one way, but just to be certain, all you need to do is find the two arrows on the body. So there's one of the arrows there, and find the other arrow, here it is here, and then just put those two arrows together like that and push it in. And it'll make a clicking noise when it goes in, like that. Okay, now let's transfer a file and we'll see how fast it is. So I have this Rain video here, which is 15.6 gigabytes, and we're transferring it from my computer hard drive to the SSD, the one that we just put together. Okay, so I'm just gonna grab this one and drag it over. So it's about 15 gigabytes, and the SSD has a maximum read and write speed of about 5 gigabytes. And while we're not actually opening this file or saving the file, this is just a good indication of how fast you'll actually be able to move around files. Okay, so let's drag this one from the Mac Studio over to the SSD. And it's transferring, so it's done about a quarter. Okay, now we're at halfway, about 3/4, and it is finished. Okay, so that was 15.6 gigabytes, that file, and that only took, I don't know, what was that, a bit over 5 seconds, less than 10 seconds to transfer that pretty big file. So as you can see, it's pretty fast. So you're probably wondering why I didn't do a transfer speed test with the Samsung SSD. Well, at the moment it's formatted to do backups using Apple Time Machine, so I can't actually transfer any files with this at the moment. So I've been using both of these hard drives for over a year now, and I haven't had a problem with either of them. I like them both, actually. Before I purchased this one about 12 months ago, I did a bit of research, and for my needs, this is the right choice for me. I'm sure you could find a cheaper SSD, but I didn't want to risk getting an inferior product. So if read and write speeds or storage size don't concern you, you can pay about the same price for this one instead of this one. And you can even find cheaper brand name SSDs than this one. But you may be sacrificing on read and write speed, storage size, and quality. But for people who are transferring large files and who want to do it quickly, I think you'll agree that this one here takes the cake. If you made it till the end, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please show it some love and give it a like, and let me know if I got anything wrong or if you have any feedback. And for more videos like this, please subscribe just here. Alright, thanks, bye.